You remember your seventh birthday cake, but you cannot recall the color of the onesie you wore as a toddler. Scientists call this phenomenon childhood amnesia, and it is the great vanishing act of your own mind. Think back to your earliest memory. Maybe it is a flash of a swing set, a specific kitchen floor, or the shadow of a parent. Most people pin these moments to age 3 or 4. If you try to reach back to age 2, you hit a wall of absolute darkness. That darkness is not just a lack of focus, it is a total structural collapse of the brain's ability to store long term events. For decades, psychologists assumed our early memories were simply erased, deleted like old files to make room for new data. We thought the brain was like a hard drive that wiped itself clean. But modern neuroscience suggests something much more complex. The data is not being deleted. The filing system itself has not been built yet. To understand why your toddler years are a ghost town, we have to look at the hippocampus. This is the seahorse shaped structure in your brain responsible for forming new episodic memories. At birth, the hippocampus is functionally immature. It is essentially a library with no librarian. It can process immediate experiences, but it cannot catalog them into a complex narrative timeline. This is why you might have procedural memory from when you were 2. You remember how to walk, how to hold a spoon, and how to recognize your mother's face. These are stored in the cerebellum and the basal ganglia, parts of the brain that develop early to ensure your survival. But episodic memory, the I remember when kind of memory, requires the hippocampus to be firing at full capacity. It takes until roughly age 3 or 4 for the hippocampus to reach the level of neurogenesis required to hold on to high definition personal history. But there is a catch. Even after the hippocampus is ready, the memories still fail to stick. This is where language comes in. In a 2004 study conducted by psychologist Robin Fivish, researchers discovered that children who were encouraged to talk about their day in rich, descriptive detail were more likely to retain those memories years later. Language is the glue of memory. Before you have the vocabulary to narrate your life, your experiences are just raw sensory input, colors, smells, and sounds, without a linguistic hook to hang them on. You cannot store a story if you do not yet have the words to tell it. Think of it like a theater performance. You can have the best actors in the world, but if you do not have a script, there is no play. Language provides the script. It allows you to organize a chaotic pile of images into a coherent sequence. First this happened, then that, and then I felt this way. Without that sequence, your brain simply lets the sensory fragments fade away. Then there is the issue of brain turnover. This is the most counterintuitive part of the mystery. While your brain is learning to walk, talk, and process the world, it is producing new neurons at a frantic pace. This is called adult hippocampal neurogenesis. It is a vital process for learning new things, but it is also a bulldozer for existing connections. In a 2014 study on mice, researchers at the Hospital for Sick Children in Toronto found that high rates of neurogenesis actually disrupted existing memory circuits. Basically, your brain is growing so fast and adding so many new connections during childhood that it accidentally overwrites the weak early circuits. The very process of becoming smarter and more capable as a child is what causes you to lose your memories of being a baby. It is a biological trade off. You sacrifice your infancy to build the infrastructure of a functioning adult mind. So, where do those memories go? They do not go into a hidden vault in your subconscious. They are physically dismantled. The neural pathways that once held the memory of your first steps have been repurposed to learn algebra, recognize road signs, or remember the name of your first crush. You are literally built out of the remains of your own forgotten past. This raises a haunting question about your current reality. If you are constantly forming new memories and your brain is constantly pruning and updating its structure, how much of your current self will survive the next 20 years? We tend to think of memory as a recording device, a digital archive of who we are. But it is not a recording, it is a reconstruction. Every time you remember something, you are actually reweaving the neural strands, adding modern context and changing the details to fit your current worldview. You are not looking at a photograph of your past, you are painting a new picture on a canvas that has been scraped clean 1,000 times before. What we call personality is really just the continuity of this process. We feel like the same person today that we were yesterday because we have a thread of memories connecting the two. But that thread is frayed, stretched, and often totally broken at the beginning. Perhaps childhood amnesia is a mercy. If you had the capacity to remember the overwhelming sensory input of birth and the confusion of being a completely helpless infant, your mind might never have been able to develop the clear linear logic required for adult life. To move forward, we have to let go of the sensory noise of the beginning. When you look at a photograph of yourself as a 1 year old, you see a person. You see a name, a birth date, and a specific life. But for the child in that photo, there is no self yet. There is only the immediate passing present. You are the only person who can truly claim that child's life, even though you have absolutely no access to their internal experience. You are a stranger to your own beginning. You are a house built on a foundation you can no longer see. The memories you have today are not evidence of your past. They are the survivors of a massive biological restructuring that happened when you were too young to even know what a memory was. As you go through your life, adding more layers, more experiences, and more narratives, remember that your mind is not a storehouse, it is a furnace. It burns through the past to generate the heat of the present. Your earliest memories are not gone because you forgot them. They are gone because you used them to build the person you are right now. The question is not what you lost, but what you have become in the process. Are you comfortable with the fact that your past is not a record, but a living, changing ghost that only exists as long as you keep deciding to remember it?